This one's going to be fun. I like the bio and I like the information that this guy that is about to come on here gave us. So I'm looking forward to this conversation. Today's guest is Johnathan Grzybowski. He is the co-founder and CMO of a company called Penji, and that is a creative subscription service that's changing the way businesses access graphic design and digital content. He and his partners bootstrapped Penji from the ground up into an Inc. 5000 company, and he has helped thousands of clients all around the world. Equally as important, and probably more so, he will say, I certainly will, is outside of work. He's a storyteller and a dad who hosts two different podcasts, Dear Dads, where he shares real stories about fatherhood, and another one called Free Ideas, where entrepreneurs can steal a daily dose of strategy. He's here to talk about building the businesses, raising kids, and why working with creatives, and this was my note added, doesn't have to suck. And we will get into that. As a 30-year entrepreneur myself, I have some opinions about that. So I'm looking forward to it. Let's get into this conversation. Johnathan, how are you, my friend?
Fantastic, man. Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor, and I appreciate the warm introduction.
Absolutely. Let's start. Let's just go at this simply. Let's start at Penji. Tell us what Penji is and how does it work?
Yeah. So Penji is a creative subscription service. If you are in need of hiring somebody, you don't feel like vetting them, if you don't feel like interviewing them, if you don't feel like bringing them on board as a W-2 employee, or if you simply go on freelance websites and you don't feel like going through the BS and the minutia of negotiating, you simply go onto Penji's website, you sign up for the service. Within 24 hours, you'll receive your first completed creative. So whether that be a website design or a video, social media post, we aim to be the simplest creative solution out there. We've been doing it for almost 10 years. Almost next year's going to be 10 years. And as you said in the bio, we have clients all over the world, and we've helped thousands of businesses.
So as an entrepreneur, I've had bought and sold a dozen businesses over the last 30 years, and there is not only for me, but also for the myriad of entrepreneurs that I know that have gotten caught in a trap relative to this business. And that is that you can't open social media without somebody telling you how they're going to resurrect or they're going to recreate or they're going to create this most fantastic online experience for you, only to go down that path multiple times and frankly be frustrated almost every single time. And so when I saw what you did for a living and that we were going to have a conversation, I thought this is a great place to start, because this is a topic of conversation among entrepreneurs in my space, and has been, since the advent. Again, I go back pre-internet, so I've been around a long time. And that's not that we are ignorant or don't understand how these things work, but it seems like for every one person who can deliver, as you just described, there seems to be 100 people that are there to take your money.
Yeah. I would agree with that. When you say like there's the market as a whole in terms of like getting graphic design or like getting creative done, is that more or less what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly.
There's just like a lot of competition, right?
Yeah, somebody can always do your website for you or put out your socials or anything, the graphic design, the creative side of it. But as a whatever it is, if you own a lawn mowing business and you've got 50 employees, you don't really know anything about those things. So you step out to find somebody who will help you, and inevitably, I mean, I cannot go to a meeting where 5 entrepreneurs don't have some horror story about this. And this is what intrigued me about you and your website and kind of the testimonials and the things that I did in researching you. And I thought, what a great opportunity to kind of get in front of that for all of us, that are just on the outside looking in, trying not to get scammed, and yet we want to participate in the online world.
Yeah. So I see the angle where you're going with that question. It's a valid question for sure. So I think that the answer to that question starts at the very beginning of why we started it. So when we started Penji, we were a digital marketing agency. So if you go to local businesses, meetups or BNI type of business meetings, you'll probably see 1,000 versions of digital marketing agencies. And they all have their secret sauce. They're all awesome. I'm sure they can create whatever it is that you want, and I'm sure they'll also at the same time burn you in some capacity. You'll get pissed off, spend a lot of money, you'll move on to the next one, and you're in this endless game and cycle.
That's the story. Perfectly said. Yep.
Totally. And listen, I was there. We were there as a business. And my business partner and I, we looked in the mirror and like, what the hell do we want to be when we grow up? Mind you, this is my only job I've ever had really my entire life. I've done this since I was 24. And off camera, I mentioned I'm about to be 37. I never had a W-2 job. So this is all I've ever done. So we had a point in a period of time in life where we were like, what are we going to do? And we realized, to your point, let's not be the competition. Let's not focus on the local aspect, but productize the service in a way where it's digestible for anyone. And most of our customers are actually digital marketing agencies. So the ones that are fighting for your business, our customers are actually them. In addition to that, our customers are also teams of internal companies. Everyone thinks that they could do graphic design, and everybody probably can do graphic design. But the question is, do you want to spend the time to do it? And I think that's what Penji more or less sells, is more or less the time. We don't claim that we're the best quality, because we're not. And I'm sure there's thousands of designs submitted to our customers on a daily basis that absolutely suck ass. But there's probably like more than enough that actually are pretty decent. So it's more or less the convenience that we're selling, and that's how we were able to break out of the digital marketing world. Because again, we were a digital marketing agency, and then we productized it, and then we turned it into a software, and allowed us the ability to scale. Hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. Let me delve into that a little bit more specifically. So in terms of then, as an entrepreneur, a business owner listening to this now, I'll give you the basic one. Hey, Jerry, we're going to help you do X, Y, and Z with your website or your socials, and we're going to get you, 10,000 views and 1,000 followers, and these great videos are going to go viral. This website we're going to set up for you is going to be fantastic. They promise the world the story, and I think that what entrepreneurs could learn from here, from you, from your expertise and your background, is how do we what's the mechanism that we avoid spending that money, understanding that we've been promised this thing only to never get it. And that seems to be kind of if there were something hanging over this industry, largely from an entrepreneur's perspective, from a business owner's perspective, it's just that. It's just delivering, right? If somebody asks me to pick up from A and deliver to B, I have a specific job to do. If I get it done inside the time frames they give me, then I know I did well. I'm a home builder, right? I build a home, everything's on time, it's working correctly, the windows are correct, the finishes are the way that they want them. As long as I do that, I've delivered that to them. I promised that to them, they bought it, and I delivered it. In this space, there seems to be a disconnect, as you said, because everyone promises everything. But the biggest complaint from owners is that rarely does that ever get delivered. I won't defend that they didn't put in the work the way they're supposed to, make videos like they're supposed to, provide the needed product the way they're supposed to. There's always that. But generally speaking, that promise of what someone can do to help us get that business out there and grow that business via social media or digitally seems to be lacking, so much so that I think there's a lot of people that don't engage simply because they've been burnt so many times.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Luckily for our business, we don't do any of that, right? So the only thing that, think of Penji, so to kind of round out what Penji is, Penji more or less is like a McDonald's ordering system. So you go to the menu and you go onto the screen and you tap what you want, and then it gets ordered, and you tell us how you want it, and then we deliver it for you. So for our business specifically, there's no promise other than the fact that you're going to receive a graphic design or creative asset within 24 hours. Now, when it comes to the digital marketing world, how does our business relate to your question? more or less is, I think, is the lack of confidence that the digital marketing person has in themselves and their business and their ability. And so when you go into a business or when you go into a meeting, you're trying to sell yourself to the highest extent. And I would actually argue that the best thing to do is the complete opposite. Don't sell yourself at all. Just promise what you can actually deliver, and just do that really well. I actually think that if I was a digital marketing agency, and it's interesting that you ask these questions, because on my YouTube channel that I started, I actually want to show people how to use Penji in order to grow their own business, whatever that may be, because you can actually create a digital marketing agency using Penji. And I've been able to do that already, and I'm showing people how I'm doing it. So then that way people who are interested in the digital marketing space can actually take, hopefully, yeah, that's the goal, hopefully, take what they learn from a stupid video that I make and post online to be able to apply Penji to their business and the strategy and be able to receive what they're looking for. But I think if I was a digital marketing agency, focus on one thing, focus on one type of customer, focus on one type of solution, and only do that. The problem with digital marketing agencies now is that they're begging for money. And so they're just going to take the scraps that whatever on the floor, and they're just going to gobble it up. Whereas I think more people, and this isn't just digital marketing agency, this is just people in general. You know, this is for home builders. This is for business owners. Like if you just accept a business deal because it's lucrative, or you need the money, it's going to come back and cost you 4 to 5 times more because the client isn't the right fit. So if you were to stay in your lane, focus on the people, even if it's like micro niche where it's like 10 people on planet Earth are the only type of customers, well, you better be the best goddamn person within those 10 people, and you better talk to them and know who they are and know them by name and their kids' names and their sisters, brothers, cousins' names. Like, you need to know everything about them. And so I think that's the problem that any business owner has, is just that they're begging for money. They're poor, not in dollars, but poor in mind, and they're just willing to take on whatever they want. But if you have the discipline to say no, like, no, listen, dude, we're not a good fit. I can't service you. I can't fix your problem. I can't fix your leaky pipe. But I know somebody who can, and then pass them off to another agency and maybe make $500 a month on their retainer because you referred them business. To me, that's a better suit, and I wish that I learned that very early on in my personal career.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that at all. That's getting back to basics, business 101. Certainly prior to the internet, for sure, because that's the way it used to be done. Everything was face to face, or via phone call and conversation. You had to get to know the people. You had to actually sell them. So I don't disagree with that at all. So for Penji, can the average business then, what would we do to utilize Penji's services?
Yeah, so let's just say you're a real estate investor in Portland, Oregon. You have businesses that are going around, and you have properties. You can send all social media assets and your entire content count to Penji, and then they'll deliver it based on your brand specifications within, again, 24, 48, 72 hours. If you needed documents for flyers, if you needed a website update or an image, anything digital, Penji is going to be able to do. That's just for one particular niche. Mm-hmm. But if you were, how can I say the company name? There's a famous printing company that is in the space. I'm not going to name it, but just if you can think of a couple printing companies, I can promise you that the first one that you're thinking of is probably it. They have an entire website that their entire database needs to be restructured and re-imaged, from the images that they put on Amazon to the images that they put on their website. Every single place and location and retailer has very specific specifications and very specific dimensions. They send us a product. They give us the Google link of their product. We basically take that image and we resize it, and then we send it to them via our technology. They download it, and they do whatever the hell they want with it from there. So those are like two large use cases for like multinational Fortune 50 type of company to, small business that's dealing with not like millions and millions of customers on a daily basis.
So, and how do you turn it around so quickly? Have you incorporated AI? Is there a human part to
Great
that?
question.
How does that function?
Answer is yes to both. We would be foolish not to use AI because some customers want things done immediately. There are other customers that don't want things immediately, and they would rather wait a little bit longer for better quality. We have human beings working on every single project. We have hundreds of graphic designers all over the world that go from Asia to South America, North America, Europe. Anywhere in the world, we have pretty much a designer in that geographic, time zone. Order gets submitted. It's then picked up by one of our employees. We don't work with freelancers, so we hire every single one. Then from there, the order gets reviewed. Then the designer submits their initial draft within our technology, pushes it to the customer. Customer then applies feedback, and then they download the product. And then they could do whatever they want with it from there.
And are you trying not to have, or trying to have as little of customer interaction as possible, or have you kind of combined the two things where somebody can come on, but if they have a question, they can talk to a human?
They need to talk to a human. And the reason why is because what I found at least is these are people's babies. Yes. Right. And going back to the kid analogy that we were talking about often and in the very beginning, like if you feel frustrated, and this goes with a relationship as well. Like if your partner feels frustrated, the last thing that you do is you run and you hide and you don't communicate, right? If you're frustrated or you receive something bad, you have to communicate with that individual immediately. So we have an entire chat log system. We have an ability to call somebody directly, and you can schedule a meeting with somebody within 30 minutes. Always. Okay. 24 hours, 5 days a week. Sometimes, honestly, 6 days, really. And so that's the pressure that we put on our team in order to make sure that we're always there for the customer and we're always able to listen. And I think personally that's kind of been the reason why that we're successful. A lot of people in our industry, they hide from their problems. We want to get to it right front and center. And we've trained our team to be able to, if they see a triggering phrase or wording or whatever it may be, to call that person immediately to get a better understanding of what they mean. Because believe it or not, most people don't know how to communicate with them with someone else. They feel like they can submit 2 sentences and somebody else can receive it and adapt to what they're saying. And the short answer is that's absolutely not the case. And 9 times out of 10, you're probably not explaining yourself correctly, and you need a little bit further clarification. And that's like a whole nother rabbit hole that I could get into with you about communication, because that's like the biggest downfall that I see in most businesses that succeed and fail is the people that are the most organized, is the people that are able to collect their thoughts the best and are able to articulate themselves in the best manner.
Yeah, I think that's true, and I like to hear you say that, because there seems to be this race to automate everything. And as somebody on the buying side of all of these things, the further away I get from a human being, the more difficult it seems to be to buy what you want to buy. And in my businesses, it's all about handshakes and conversations. I own transportation companies, and like I said, I'm in the development space and I'm in the peer-to-peer group space, and it's all about relationships and it's all about conversations. And one of my critiques of AI and automation digitally has been the lack of kind of growing that getting your personality out there and getting people to have or forming relationships with your customers or your possible customers, trying to get AI to do the selling for you, and then also do the setup and try to push that relationship, that human to human relationship, as far away as we can. From the outside looking in, that's my perspective on where things are going, and I think that there's an opportunity for entrepreneurs there to jump in there, just like what you're talking about, and that seems to have been your experience with Kenji.
Yeah. Um, if you use AI to do all that, I think you're stupid.
Yeah,
Personally. I mean,
right.
I really think you're stupid. I think you're stupid because, I mean, you're missing out on a customer relationship. If you have 10 customers, I mean, like, why aren't you trying to get to know them? Um, if you have 100 customers, why aren't you trying to get to know them? I mean, if you have like millions of customers, obviously, and you sell products specifically, I could see that being a little bit hard to do, right? If you are transactional in the sense that I make a phone, and it's really hard to be able to meet every single phone person. However, as an entrepreneur or somebody giving you money, I think it's imperative and it's your right to go out and meet as many people that own your product or sign up for your service as possible. For me in particular, my promise to myself as a human, as a man, is every time a customer cancels our service, because they're not the best fit for everyone, I personally send them an email. I don't have to do that,
Right.
but I want to, because how can you get better as a person if you don't ask the question? Somebody gave you $500 of their hard-earned money or $1,500, whatever that number is, right? Why wouldn't you want to shake their hand? To your point, fortunately, we run a business where I don't have to go anywhere. Like, I'm in
Mm-hmm.
my office, in my house, right? So I don't meet customers ever personally, but I can do it digitally, and that's the best to my ability of being as genuine as possible. And again, I think if you were to look at our reviews, if you were to look at why people sign up for Penji, I think that culture comes across quite strongly, that we genuinely give a crap about other people, and they're not just a statistic or another dollar amount customer.
And for sure, going through your socials and going through your website, that came across real clearly. But I have the
Cool.
answer to the question of why someone would not reach out to that customer, because, Johnathan, you don't understand. That customer didn't listen to me. That customer didn't do what I said. That customer did the exact opposite of what we said. It's not my fault. It's the customer's responsibility. You know how these customers are. They never take responsibility for the stuff they give you. They don't tell you that it's right. They don't tell you that it's wrong. They don't communicate. There's a million reasons why you shouldn't ever have to reach out to a customer when you lose them, because it's not your fault. It's the customer's fault, right?
Yeah, 100%. Well, to that I say, I hear that all the time.
Right.
I would say, to me, I wish there was licenses. This is a crazy idea. I wish how you have to have a license in order to drive. There should be a license in order for you to be an entrepreneur. And I think your license should be revoked and you should be thrown in entrepreneur prison, because if you consistently blame the customer, which, by the way, it is true, they can be a-holes and they can be hard to deal with. But, like, do you complain about the customer being an a-hole when you're able to buy a Switch 2, or when you're able to go take your wife and daughters out to dinner? Probably
Right.
not. You're probably pretty grateful for that moment, right? So
Right.
don't be a douche and just, like, be thankful and talk to your people.
I
If
always,
you talk, if you
I,
complain about that, by the way, like, I'm not saying you do, but in general, the general sense of entrepreneur, if you complain about the customers more, like, you're not going to be in business for much longer. Simple as
yeah,
that.
I'm a big proponent of everything is, everything is your fault. I've had, like I said, a dozen
100%.
businesses and have done hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue. And I come to work every morning assuming I'm going to be out of business at the end of the day because of a decision that I make. And I also change today what I changed yesterday if it's not working. It's
Hell
easy
yeah.
to spend a bunch of time on something, implement it, it doesn't work, blow it up. So then we stay with it because, wait, I did all this work on it. And then I know, but it's costing us time, it's costing us money, it's costing us customers, customer service. But people will stick with it because I built it, or that customer didn't listen, or they didn't instruct us correctly. And I think that all of those things, I always think about 100 years ago, 95% of the country worked in agriculture. So how hard is it to pick up the phone and have a conversation, even if it's one that that you're not going to like? And as somebody who's dealt with, like I said, not only God knows how many customers, but also I've had 10,000 employees. If you don't communicate, and if you don't get out of your own way and take responsibility for everything, even if it wasn't your fault, you're going to make something very difficult, which is being an entrepreneur, that much harder to do.
I agree. I also would say that the another alternative response to that is, what is your goal? because if you don't understand what the goal is, then the problem that you're having, whether it be with one customer or not, is probably not as small. Like our goals in particular as a business are so large. And my co-founder and I just had a conversation about this yesterday. The reason why that we are where we are today is because of the goals that we have. You know, we don't want to be just a business that we are now. Like we're not satisfied with where we are. And the reason why that we've been able to grow as fast and as strong as we've been able to is because of that consistent desire of being better than we were yesterday. And if you don't, at least for us, it works. Like if you want to make $100,000 a year and you want to be able to have like 4 or 5 customers and you want to be able to work 3 hours a day, that's cool, man. Like I'm really proud of you. That's an amazing business and that's fantastic. You'll be able to feed your family for, you know, a long time and you'll be very happy and fulfilled. But that's not what we want to do with Penji. So therefore, because that's the goal and because we have a genuine understanding of what that looks like, there's sacrifices that have to be made and there's things that have to be done. And the thought process that when you receive a customer problem is just different because we know what the end goal is.
Right. Yeah. I like that. So you guys, you have a partner, I believe, built Penji from the ground up. And did you bring in money for it? Did you bootstrap it? How'd you get it started?
We've invested $500 into this business.
Okay.
And $500 means that was the minimum amount that we had to put into the bank account that we first started. So that is the only dollar amount that we've ever put into the business outside of sweat equity. And I'm sure, you know, over the years we actually have put in more money, but like, you know, in terms of outside funding, we have zero. In terms of investments, we had zero. In terms of help, we've had zero. As I stated before, this is my only job. This is all I've ever done. This is all I've ever known. And my co-founder and I, which I'm very proud of, we've collectively have just been tenacious and we've not quit. And we're not going to quit until the job's done. And right now the job's not done and more problems need to be fixed. And again, we're not going to fix it. We're not going to quit until it's done.
So as you were building that and bootstrapping it, was there some inflection point for you guys, you know, that said, hey, we've got something here now and it's really starting to take off? Maybe a better way to ask this question is, was there a point where you had to kind of push through, the growth was coming, you guys were struggling, kind of that oh no moment where you're like, you know, this could be something, but we've got to overcome this mountain. Usually as businesses grow, you know, sometimes I say it's easier to get started. It's harder to overcome the obstacles as you grow.
Yeah. So in our first business, we were making somewhere around like $25,000 a month, and it was like 2 or 3 people, and it was like cool. And then we were like, well, again, the goal, right? So then we had to revisit and rework the numbers a little bit. And then what we did was we created a poll using just our influence on LinkedIn or influence on social media. I actually used to be the only salesperson. I went to every single like local business meeting in Philadelphia that you could possibly think of. Like every networking event, Monday through Saturday, I was there, right? Like I was in front of everybody's faces, collected business cards, numbers, etc. And so I had a pretty decent amount of like solid-ish network of people. And then from there, I just say, hey man, is this a problem that you have in your business? Yes or no? If it is, how much did you charge for it? We polled about like 250 people. And then we said, well, guess what? If we build this, would you buy it? And a large majority of them said yes. So we charge $79 a month, which is stupid for our business. And we actually have one customer that's still paying us $79 a month. So then we got an influx of business, and everybody started buying it because it's like, these guys are morons for spending $79 a month on graphic design services. And these people were destroying us. So then we used the money. We immediately, almost like within a month and a half, we surpassed 25,000 almost immediately, which was awesome. And then we're like, crap, this is a real business. Like we just grew, we just beat this business in a month and a half, 2 months. Now we have to like turn this into something real. And then we just used that money that for advertisements, and then we used a referral pace system where we would just ask, like, hey, do you know somebody else that's interested in that? And then the next time that we talk to them, we increase the money a little bit more. And then now we have the pricing that we have now, which I'm sure will change by the time that this conversation airs or whatever it may be. But we've always just found more value in systems, and we created more value for the customer in order for them to feel that the price that we're charging now is a steal, and they would be foolish not to do it. And that's more or less the catalyst was really that. And then it just grew from there.
It seems like one of the hardest parts of scaling a business, like you guys have done, in my experience, is just keeping the talent, keeping the know-how growing as the business grows, and still vet those people, but maintain the quality regardless of whatever the business is, in your case, creative quality. How do you do that as you scaled up and you grew?
It's a struggle, but because our vetting process is so vast, like we get hundreds of applicants on a monthly basis, and we have to vet them, and we are always hiring. We're not a company that's not hiring. We're always hiring, even when we're not actually hiring, because we want to make sure that our talent is always there. So we have a very strenuous process of you have to pass these tests. Once they pass the test, then they go into a pool, and then we keep them in the know whenever we need whenever we have an opportunity. But more or less, that is a difficult thing to do. But that's like our business, right? Like we need to find the best talent in the world, because when you go to Penji and you submit your business and you want to feel appreciated, you want to feel that your business is respected, we have to find the best of the best talent. And so more often than not, we actually let go people who when our customers don't want to work with them. That's the best part. Like we don't actually fire many people. Our customers fire them. Because if no customer wants to work with you, then why should you be a designer or team member of Penji?
Right.
So therefore you don't have any work. So therefore, if you don't have any work, why are you here collecting a paycheck? So then we find somebody else. But yeah, the short answer is it's very difficult to do. But that's why, for business, that's why we exist. Because you don't want to go out. You don't want to hire your own person. Listen, we don't have to get into the politics of any of this, but it's expensive to pay taxes. It's expensive to pay insurance. Don't do it. If you have to do it, if your business is 100% needs to be done in America, all for it, hire somebody internally. That's great for the economy, great for the world. But if you don't need to, and you don't necessarily want to give an American-based salary, and you want to spend $500 to $1,500 a month on a service, then I think Penji is a great alternative for you. We are living in a global economy at this point, and so why not use that to your advantage?
1,000%. I couldn't agree more. Where you don't have employee service businesses. It's harder to do, but for sure, the less you can hire, the better. And also, as I tell entrepreneurs constantly, the regardless of the business, especially when you're growing, everybody has the same problem. There's this belief among entrepreneurs, and this is a mantra of mine, that the problem that they have, they don't want to talk about because it's individual to them. Right? They see all the other entrepreneurs doing great. They see Penji's doing fantastic, and they see the life that everybody's living. It all looks so good. They can't possibly be experiencing the same issues that I'm having. And in my experience, it's 180 degrees the opposite direction. And I go, no. The guy next to you, same problem. The guy next to you, same problem. Those big companies used to be small, and when they were growing, same problem. And I think that's what you're explaining also, is that we all have these same problems as you're trying to scale something, because business is infinitely complicated.
100%. It's extremely complicated. It's very stressful. It's very dark. It's very lonely. I mean, we can go on and on about that for sure. I would say, again, what do you want to do? Like, what is your goal, man? Like, I want to provide generational wealth for my child, so she never has to struggle for the way that I had to. I didn't struggle like drastically. I'm not saying I came from like, the poorest of the poor, but I grew up in a very city-like place. place called Juniata Park. Now it's pretty much a ghetto. Like I wouldn't take my daughter there at all. And I grew up in a row home. My dad was a FedEx employee for 35 plus years. He drove a car, rode a truck for those years. My mom was a stay-at-home mom, one income. Like I wasn't rich by any means, but every time that I had a conversation with my mom, I was like, "Mom, can we buy this?" It was always like, "Well, we can't afford it." And I want to be able to say no to my daughter because I don't want to give it to her, not no because we can't afford it. And to me, that was just my mission to just continuously do that. And yeah, I don't. That's just my goal. So then, therefore, like if you have lesser goals or whatever it may be, like you have to remove things out of your way, but out of the cost of hiring somebody is probably that. And so if you could focus 10 more minutes on sales, if you're the CEO, I'm pretty sure you could probably seal a deal within that 10 minutes if you could do 10 minutes every single day for a week.
Right.
So why not just outsource it to somebody else or hire somebody else? I think the problem that we're getting at, Jerry, is like I'll speak for dudes specifically. Dudes specifically have massive freaking egos. They don't like talking about their problems. They got this like tiny, syndrome. Like, dude, you're struggling. Who cares? Let's talk about it. How are you going to fix it? And like you said, everybody has the same problem. So like, let's work together and fix it out. Hire somebody. Stop doing all the stupid graphic design yourself. Get out of your own way. Stop being a douche and just like make money, man. Help, and not even make money. Effing help people. Like just help people. And if you can do that, you'll be rich regardless.
Yeah, I have a peer-to-peer group, the Kronos group, that I've put together. And because for that exact reason, somebody sold me on it right after I started my business. I was 29, 30 years old, and he came in and cold called me, former Fortune 500 CEO. He was retired, and he put together this peer-to-peer group, 8 to 9 guys. And we were brutal. We've been together 25 years now. Awesome. And the guys, I was 30 and they were all in their 50s. And so they had all of this experience running a business. I had a business, I think we did 3 million, 8 million, 12 million, 14 million third, fourth year. I mean, we were growing like mad. I had no idea what I was doing. And I had come out of this real busy operation that I had grown prior to going and starting my own. So my ego was giant. My skill set was much smaller than I thought it was. Really good at operations, not at the rest of it. So I had to learn what all of these things were and how to do it. And that group, I just sat there for 3 years almost. I barely said a word. I just listened. And these guys' problems were exactly the problems that I was experiencing. I don't know that I would still be in business had I not got to that group and had that influence on me and heard that experience from those guys. And I certainly would not have listened to it when I was 25 years old. And I'm lucky that I didn't start till later in life at 28. And then ultimately I was sitting in these groups from, starting at 30 years old where I was willing to accept that. But that kind of advice, that kind of expertise, getting somebody else to do it that knows how to do those things, it's just invaluable. But to your point, the male ego gets in the way, especially if we're going to be wrong. And I always say there's never a stupid question. There's only people too stupid to ask them.
That is very true. I just spoiler alert. I'm always right, especially to my wife.
Yeah, that's right. No, I'm sure that goes really well.
She knows it. I know it.
Right.
We argue about it, but I'm just always right every single time. So now that we got that out of the way,
yeah, that's easy. Now your life is on cruise control.
Exactly.
Speaking of that, so you became a dad a year ago. A little bit of background. You got your wife and you have your kid. I come from abject poverty. Anybody who listens to me knows the story. So I grew up very, very, very difficult. And at 28 years old, I was kind of in the middle of what was I going to do, and my son was born. I wasn't ever going to have children, and my son was born. And the second my son was literally born, I ran to the phone to call my buddies to tell them that I was a dad. And I realized something standing at that phone booth in those days outside of the hospital, dropping a quarter in, that my life had changed. I realized that at 28 years old. And the world that I thought existed prior to my son being born, as well as I was doing and the things that I was doing and as driven as I thought I was, it almost became like nursery school going to 100%. College. I mean, the difference for me was significant, and it changed my life. I've said this 1,000 times the second my son was born. Everything that I have today and all of the things that I have done or because I had children. I ended up having 3 children. I should have had 6. If I could go back, if I have one regret, I would go back and have 6. I advocate for men to get out there and women to have children and to have them early. They are a superpower. They offer you a perspective on life. They create you. They finish you. There is so much to being a parent that I think this culture today does not adequately represent. And so in doing my research on you, I came across your dear dads. I came across your relationship with your daughter. I loved every part about that. That's a quick background on my approach to this and why I was excited to talk to you about this, especially in the context of all of the BS that you have to put up with as an entrepreneur and growing a business, and your time and the effort and the energy and all of those things. So given that, inside of that soliloquy is a question. Tell us about becoming a dad, and not only becoming a dad, but the impact on your life and business as you're experiencing fatherhood.
It's the best. I mean, you said it very well. I wish I did it sooner. I wish I did it earlier. I wish I found my wife sooner. But I think everything is a learning experience. I wish that. So I started a podcast very similar to yours many moons ago, and I wish that I did it. I wish I never stopped. Mm-hmm. The reason why I stopped is because I ended up, it felt very transactional with a lot of the guests that I was on, that I had on, and they just used me for clout, which, I'll be honest, I'm on your show for subject matter expertise. But what I really want to do is make sure that this is the start of a foundational friendship. It doesn't have to be, we're like buddies and we text all the time, but I want to make sure that I know more about your background. I know more about your life, and it's not just me jumping on your show and that's that. The reason why I started the Dear Dads podcast is and the YouTube stuff is that I want to talk to like-minded people who are going through the same things that I am, so I can get their perspective to be a better man. And to me, there's not that much content out there for men specifically about fatherhood. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure there is. But like when my wife was pregnant, I had no idea what to expect. And like I just want to make sure that I help at least one person, because maybe they don't want to go out and they want to ask for help, because as we stated before, men are kind of hard asses sometimes. And so what if you could just create something on social media to be able to have that and share that experience? And I think what I want to turn Dear Dads into is more or less what your group is when you were at 30 doing that stuff, and what you've been doing ever since is like a group of men that just hang out, they complain about stuff, and they talk about business, but they help each other grow. And so that's like my vision for it. And where it goes, who knows? I'll be honest, the past couple of months has been really difficult to even post anything, because you've gone through it three times, you said? 3? Right?
Yes.
Yeah. It's hard. So it's like some days I'm like doing my job, and then the other days I'm like, oh man, I have to record something. So like I'm trying to find a happy medium of where I don't feel like recording and sharing my story is a job, and that it's something that I want to do genuinely. And I haven't found that like safe, happy medium just yet. But I write it in my bio to hold me accountable, to make sure that I continue moving forward with it.
And why is it that you feel that it is more work? You're talking about making videos to help or about fatherhood, and it
hasn't been like, it's been fun talking and reminiscing about it, but I haven't found the voice yet.
Okay.
At least for me, I haven't found the voice yet, where it's like, and I think I have it. It's just I have to do it. I have to write. I've written it down. I just have to execute it. But I feel like I've been vlogging, like full transparency. I feel like I've been vlogging more, and it's like sharing that, where that's not really helpful. That's just me like expressing my feelings in that moment. Whereas I want it to be more action oriented, where it's like, hey, these are the 3 things that you need to do as a dad within the first month, right? So it's like saying the same things that I already said, but just repackaging it in a way where it's a little bit more helpful. Whereas I kind of just like turn the camera on and I hit record, and I just said whatever the hell I wanted to say in that moment, which is great. And again, therapeutic and awesome and cool and genuine, but it's not like, it's still not there at my mission of trying to genuinely help people. So it's just fine tuning really. But it's something I really want to invest time into to make sure that it grows, because I feel really strongly about helping fathers and in helping people in general. And that's been my mission my entire life. That's why Penji exists. We make money doing it, but at the end of the day, we solve a problem.
Yeah.
That's really what we do. We solve a large problem in hiring people. The same rules can be said about the free ideas and the Dear Dads. Like I'm trying to solve a problem, and by solving the problem, the reward is, financial or at least notoriety of subject matter expertise.
Well, anything I can do to that end, because like I said, I am a huge proponent. I'm 100%. I'm 56 years old, and I'm in again at 56 the best shape of my life.
Man, you look jacked, dude.
Oh, dude, I was 310 pounds 3.5 years ago and dying. And I was like, I'm not going to see my grandkids. I don't have grandkids yet. I'm not going to see my grandkids. So I was like, nuh-uh, I'm changing up. My son just went into the Army at 24 years old, literally last Wednesday. The hardest thing I've ever had to experience. And, man, I live down here in Tennessee. He had a place about 30 miles away from me, bought a rental duplex a couple years ago. And so it wasn't like he was gone, but he's in the military. And again, I grew up very, very difficult, and so I'm not the most emotional guy at all, but my son leaving reiterated, just like when my first son was born at 28 years old, how much these children mean to me, how important they are, how grounded they make me, how they are so much more than anything else I've ever done. I say all the time, and to any dads listening to this that are tired or burnt out, or you got little ones and they're screaming in the middle of the night, I would give up my fortune. I've said this 1,000 times, Johnathan. I'd give up everything I have to go back and have my kids be 2, 4, and 6 again, and I would go work double shifts at McDonald's if that's what it meant, because the value of having those kids little again, you never get it back. It disappears forever. And you think you're tired because the kid's crying in the middle of the night and got a fever and doesn't listen and fights back and makes a mess in the store and embarrasses you and all that. I would kill to go back and have that again. No amount of money you'll ever make, nothing any dad will ever do, men, listen to me, nothing you will ever do will even begin to touch your child embarrassing you in a store because he's screaming because he pooped his pants at a year old, and you can't believe it, and you got to run out, you don't know what to do, and all those things, and you're sweating and you're humiliated, and 15 years later you will remember that with such a fondness, and you can't ever get it back. And we chase all of these things in life, monetarily, business-wise, stature, all of those things, and it's meaningless, I think, unless you've had a child. It changed my life. It sounds like it changed your life. So as you can see, I'm a huge advocate for dads to get up off the couch, quit playing video games, and go find somebody that you can have children with and make a family, because I think you're half a man until that happens. Not that you're a man, but the other half of being a man comes when you have children and you raise them.
100%, man. I'm right there with you. It's the best. Well, you said it incredibly well, and I appreciate your assistance in anything in that regard. Like, I mean, like you said, it's like I have a how can I say this? I have somebody who's close to me, who when a problem happens with their child, it's a negative experience. I'll just say that. Yeah. I don't think they yell, but it's just negative. It's like, oh man, like just it's always like, why? Like it's always one of those types of things, and it's like, dude, who cares? Like every day, my daughter wakes up super happy. I make sure that she sees me with a smile every single time that she looks up at me, and she smiles back. Like I don't want that energy to be anything less than 100% and positive at all times. And it's really, yeah, I mean, you said it perfectly. It teaches you, it molds you, it turns you into a better human being. So if you're able to have as many kids as possible, if you don't want to, hopefully you listen to this podcast and it changes you. Yeah, man, it's awesome.
I'm by far a better entrepreneur, a better business owner, a better husband, a better friend across the board from having had children. It's just 100% true. And again, children add, they don't take. People like to say how expensive they are, and the world's expensive today. And it's like, compared to what, 100 years ago? when they had nothing and they had more children compared to 50 years ago when I was born, when 90% of the population lived in poverty and now 10% does. I mean, compared to 30 years ago, what are we talking about? We live in the best time to be alive. The people complaining are the ones typing it out on a $1,000 iPhone.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah, and so I think that to think that children are a luxury to be done when it's convenient misses the entire point. So if you want to level up, to use a coin of phrase that's often overused, I think that children are a big part towards finding success, so much so that it's one of the first answers I give to the question, Jerry, what should I do? I'm 24 years old and I'm looking to do X, Y, or Z. And I'm like, oh, no, go find a wife, get married, and have children. Because the rest of it will follow in a way that you can't understand. You just have to take my word for it. So I appreciate what you're doing there, and I really enjoyed watching some of your videos where you're talking about your daughter and you're talking about that experience, because I don't think, to your point, enough men do that. In fact, you're making them. I guess I'm making your point, which is I came across it and I loved it. And I don't think I've ever seen anything like that before.
Well, I appreciate that. That really means a lot, and thank you for spending even just a minute of your day, because I know you're a very busy man. I was going to ask you a question actually. What was it like? What do you think? How did you become better? Like, was there any specific way? Like, because I'll answer it first if that's okay, and then
Sure.
maybe you can think about it a little bit more, because I'm putting you on the spot on your podcast. Kind of disrespectful, but here we are.
Have at it. No, do it.
But like for me, it taught me I'm not as impulsive, I'd say, when in my words, and I'm also not as impulsive in my thoughts. I think a little bit more clearly, because my decision is going to impact somebody else, not only my wife but also my child. And so that's what I've realized. And also I feel like I'm a little bit more empathetic, because it's like, okay, well, oh, you're having a bad day, or oh, this happened. Hey, man, it's cool. Like, it's all good. And so those are the main things that I feel like it taught me. But I would love to hear, as somebody who's had 3 kids and they're successful, like what was that thing?
Yeah, I can tell you exactly, and I think that this is the important part for all men, is it gave me purpose. Yeah. So we all live, without children, you live a selfish lifestyle. I'm not saying you're selfish. We just live a selfish lifestyle because you're living for yourself. Let's say even if you got a girlfriend or you're married, you're still living for yourselves, right? In fact, the point of even being married or having a girlfriend outside of having children really doesn't make any sense, right? Y'all don't have anything to live for other than yourselves, and that's fine. And people can go their whole lives and live for themselves and live that selfish lifestyle. And I don't mean that as a pejorative. That's just the reality. You got to take care of yourself. You got to take care of your wife. When you have kids, you're now living for something else, and men need purpose, and that gave me purpose to live at an understanding that I could not comprehend prior to that. I'll give you a quick story. I had a dog. When I was a kid, you didn't have animals because you couldn't afford them. And so I'm 17 years old. This guy's walking across the parking lot. He's got a burlap sack. I know where he's going. The burlap sack's moving. He's heading to the bridge. He's going to throw the puppies over because somebody's dog got pregnant. You can't afford it. As terrible as that is, that's the world I grew up in. And so I stopped him. I was like, hey, man, what do you got there? I looked in there. For some reason, they're a day old, right? They're still sticky. I reached in, took one out. Nikki was her name, about a 60-pound Springer Spaniel Lab mix. And I had her for 16 years. Her and I were like this, right? Come off the street the way that I did. We were tight. And at 28 years old, the dog slept with me the whole 9 yards, right? And at 28, and I thought this dog was a relationship. I was in love with this dog. This dog was my friend, inseparable. My son was born. That dog never slept on the bed again, never slept in my bedroom again, right? And for all intents and purposes, I had to stay outside till I figured out I could trust the dog. The relationship I had with that dog, as tight as I thought, and people, this will resonate with the world today because the way that we approach, fur babies and all this other garbage about animals being, just like our children. The second my child was born, that dog only existed to the extent that it was allowed to. Right? Meaning couldn't get anywhere near the baby until we could have trusted. Couldn't be in the house until we could trust it. Had rules that it didn't have before. And I didn't really care because I went from what I thought was a relationship to what I really saw now as the true calling for me to be there. So if you asked me what that change was, it gave me the purpose in that scenario at a level that I didn't understand. So I wanted to go and crush the world. I wanted to go split atoms. I wanted to go destroy and create and just compete at a level that, and I mean, you don't crawl out of the gutter. I lived with hookers and heroin addicts in a $25 a week flop house when I was 17 years old. You don't go from that to a millionaire at 33 years old without having a drive. This put that drive and made it, I mean, like it didn't even exist, because everything I wanted to do was for the betterment of those kids. They will not have the life I had. I was going to make a life better for them than the one that I had. And when you come from poverty, and people who are poor understand this, they don't want to let you out. Institutional, generational poverty, they don't want to let you out. And so you have to fight your way out, because everybody around you, if you do well, then all the excuses that they have about why they can't do well get thrown out the window, and they got to look at themselves, which they hate to do. And so when you get out and you escape all of that, you look back on it and go, I'm not going back there, and I'm not going to let my children go back there. And so that purpose, men need a purpose over and above themselves. That's what we were born to do. And fatherhood is the ultimate expression of that purpose. And so I'm a better operator across the board. I'm smarter. To your point, I pay closer attention, because everything means more 1,000 times. And so then you just ratchet up with it. Now, you can ignore that, and a lot of men do. Right? They ignore that pulse. They'll say to themselves, well, I didn't have it, so they don't need it. Right? That's a terrible thing to say. But you hear it all the time, particularly in poor circles. I didn't have it, so you don't have it. And that's a cop-out. And the reality is, I want my children to do way better than I did, and I worked my butt off every single day, up to and including, I mean, I worked 15, 18-hour days for the better part of 2 decades. But 80% of the time I was at home at night, 8:30, lay down with my kids, wrestle with them, play with them. And every night, this is 80% of the time they were children. If you brought them in here right now, they'd tell you, what do I say to you at night? What are you going to be when you grow up? Whatever I want. How are you going to get there? I'm going to work hard, and I'm going to be smart. Every night. So 80% of their lives was spent with me, quality time, not necessary quantity, but quality time, and making an imprint on those children in a way that now, in their mid to late 20s, they could recite to you scripture and verse.
That's cool, man. You won. You did it.
Yes, 1,000%. And if I was working 2 shifts at Taco Bell, which I have, actually mine was McDonald's, which I have, the value in it is extraordinary of having children. That's the value of it. I would go back and do that in a heartbeat. Let me ask you one more question. If you could go back, this is a final question. If you could go back to your younger self and give yourself a piece of advice, starting Penji in particular, what would you change? Or maybe what would you have done differently?
My first, I've got this question so many times, and you think that you'd have like a really good, like, cool answer, but then you don't. I would say nothing.
Okay.
I really wouldn't do much. I personally believe that everything you do is for a reason, and it has happened as such. And I probably wouldn't be. I would be down a different road if it didn't happen the exact same way.
Is there a piece of advice you'd give yourself?
Yeah, yeah. So the advice, I would probably just say, like, it's going to be lonely. It's going to be hard. You're going to be questioning everything, but at the end, it will be worth it. And that's
Right.
that's kind of a cheesy answer. I'm sure it's been given a lot of times, but as I mentioned before, I came from nothing really. And there were periods of time where I didn't make any dollar. There was 4 years of my life where I made 0 salary, and I invested everything back into the business. So, when you're in those dark moments in the very beginning, you don't know what's going to come of it. But I would just say that. And then the second thing is just make sure that you always solve the problem. That's the advice. Have a goal, solve a problem. Everything else will fall into place.
No, I think that you said that, that's a fairly common answer. But I want entrepreneurs to hear that these problems that you're having, as we said at the beginning of the podcast, everybody has. But it's an isolating, lonely process being an entrepreneur, and in that environment you can start to think that the mistakes you're making are ones that nobody else is doing, and it's just you, and you're a failure. What is one favorite software tool you can't live without besides Penji?
Notion.
Oh, I love Notion. 100%. Okay, I run
my
that. Yeah.
I love my I run my marriage on Notion. I'm not kidding, man. Like I have a finance tracker. I track all of our finances. I'm like looking at it right now. I have like every conversation, like every gift I've ever given my wife and in my family, like I use it for everything, man. So yeah, Notion's everything.
Yeah, it's pretty good. And last question, one creative trend that you think is BS right now?
Uh, all the content that is out there that talks about how you can easily make $100,000 a year and that all you have to do is this small little thing. I think it's
Right.
complete bullcrap, and I hope all those people like I want that. I never want to wish ill upon people, but I've had many thoughts about those particular types. It doesn't exist. There's no get rich quick scheme, and if it is, it's a quick scheme, and you're gonna lose it all. So do it the hard way and do it the right way, and start a business, solve a problem, and have a lot of kids.
I always say, yeah, that's perfect. I always say about those guys, and I agree. I can't. It seems like I can't make a video without crashing on those guys. That there is no work 3 minutes a day and be a millionaire.
Oh man,
program. But it seems like those guys are a dime a dozen. And I always say, if what they sold was so good, why are they selling it?
Yeah, 100%.
Right?
100%. If I did that, I would keep it to myself.
Right. You just exploit it. So it seems pretty straightforward. All right, Johnathan, tell everybody how to get a hold of you and give them the going out here about they need to talk to, or they need to go check Penji out. Mostly entrepreneurs on this podcast. So go ahead, give us your pitch here as we go out.
If you like my story, awesome. Email me, Johnathan@penji.co, Johnathan @penji.co. If you like anything if you feel like we can solve your problem, Penji.co. If not, that's cool. It doesn't matter.
And the biggest question I had, really, well, not the biggest one, but the one I want to make sure I ask you real quick. Penji, where does that come from?
So there's like 10 years, 8 years that we didn't tell anyone. But if you slow down the word Penji, you will figure it out.
Okay.
It's a very popular extension of. I won't give it to you, but
okay.
If you slow it down, I'm sure you'll figure it out.
You'll leave it to us to figure out. Johnathan, fantastic conversation. It was exactly what I was hoping for. I really appreciate it.